My name is David Daniel Ball, and these are the headlines for Wednesday, the 18th of February, 2009. Thousands isolated by New South Wales floodwaters. Boy's remains found in crocodile. Sex slave teacher guilty of indecent act on boy. Dentist on sex charges against teen girls. Obama signs massive stimulus package. Lily Allen hates selfish bedroom buddies. If only she knew who they were, she could dump them. Homeless pairs guilty of bashing Aussie tourist. Woman held captive in Nappy, Bible read to her. Pension relief for self-funded retirees. 12,000 more US troops in Afghanistan. Firefighters killed by falling tree. Woman to stand trial for selling pierced cats. Controversial Facebook changes spark protests. And in commentary, from Tim Blair, we've got the clock ticking for Nasser. It's the deadliest job in showbiz. Pioneers of tomorrow churn through shrieking one-note hosts. Even faster than Media Watch, the Hamas TV children's show is reducing the biodiversity of giant anthropomorphic Gaza area hate muppets so quickly that an environmentalist intervention might be needed. You'll need to check the link for that. Power of One. President Barack Obama will tour a solar power installation atop the Denver Museum of Nature and Science tomorrow before signing his landmark $787 billion economic stimulus bill in front of a crowd of 250 Colorado renewable energy and political leaders. Blake Jones, CEO of Boulder, Colorado-based Namaste Solar, will lead Obama and Vice President Joe Biden on a walking tour at the museum before the bill signing. So how's the whole stimulus thing working out for Namaste Solar? You'll need to check the link for that. On the other hand, it stops people dying in winter. NASA warmanoid freak James Hansen. Coal is the single greatest threat to civilization and all life on our planet. The train carrying coal to power plants are death trains. Coal-fired power plants are factories of death. Thank you. We get the point of that, James. And from Andrew Bolt. Raining on the Bureau of Meteorology's parade. The Bureau of Meteorology says we'll get hotter over the next 25 years thanks to global warming. The most comprehensive assessment to date of Australia's climate was jointly released today by the Bureau of Meteorology and CSIRO. By 2030, we expect temperatures will rise about 1 degree centigrade over Australia compared with the climate of recent decades, says one of the report's authors. That's interesting, but let's see how well the Bureau can predict not 25 years ago, but 2 months. Here's its prediction from last month. The chance of exceeding median rainfall over much of central and northern Queensland are between 20 and 40%, which means that these areas have a 60 to 80% chance of being drier than normal. As for New South Wales, the chance of exceeding the February to April median is about 45 to 60%. This means the chance of getting wetter than normal in these areas are about the same as the chances of being drier. Less than a month later, we see this. After years of drought, farmers in many parts of the country are now dealing with flooding rains. In Queensland's Gulf Country, a number of towns have been shut off for more than 6 weeks and are running low on supplies. And in New South Wales, a number of towns in the north and west of the state are also underwater, and more rain could be on the way. Paying even more for snake oil. Kevin Rudd's emissions trading scheme just got even more expensive thanks to the collapse of the international price of carbon credits. To help is sick. Sydney Morning Herald columnist Ross Gittins is disgusted that so many Australians have been so keen to help the victims of fires. The outpouring of public concern over the terrible Victorian bushfires, the rush to give blood, the huge amount of donations, the efforts of governments to do all they can to help, the way the bushfires have swung behind the appeal for assistance, it makes you proud to be an Aussie. Is that how you feel? I don't. I find it all strangely disturbing and distasteful. And you know the people who've lined up to donate blood or offered accommodation to the homeless or organized fundraisers or fed the firefighters or raised collections for the orphaned or sorted the donated goods or counseled the bereaved or pitched in to rebuild? They're sick. And it served to strengthen my suspicion that the community's reaction to natural disasters is exploitative, voyeuristic, unfair, self-gratifying, and even pathological. Andrew Bolt invites you to write your comments to Ross Gittins, and don't feel that you need to feel pity for him. After all, that would be voyeuristic, unfair, self-gratifying, and even pathological. Oxymoron appointed. Philip Adams in charge of fresh ideas? Philip Adams, the acclaimed ABC broadcaster and long-term columnist for this journal, has been appointed by South Australian Premier Mike Rann as the foundation chairman of the Australian Centre for Social Innovation, an intellectual think tank to be based in Adelaide. Hockey fires at listing ship. Joe Hockey opens well-directed fire as the coalition's new shadow treasurer. Joe Hockey has moved to refocus the opposition's economic message by accusing Kevin Rudd of being panicked by the global recession into wanting to stifle business with needless overregulation. The opposition's new Treasury spokesman yesterday warned the Prime Minister against putting handcuffs on capitalism, delivering an impassioned defence of the ability of the free market to provide solutions to economic problems. Crowing over the fires. Global warming preachers have been crowing over the bushfires in ways not just despicable, but dangerous. Just hours after the first bodies were being recovered, Greens leader Bob Brown was already on television, lecturing us on our sins against the planet. Rather than confess that Green activists had been desperately wrong to oppose fuel reduction burns, Brown was eager to boast that this catastrophe had instead proved them right. About global warming, you know. I put the link in there so that you can see it. There is heaps more. It's sad. Hard to panic and yet be confident. Turns out screaming fire and pouring billions of dollars into the gutters isn't quite the stuff to give consumers the confidence to start spending again. Following the congressional passage of the economic stimulus bill, consumer confidence has fallen to another record low. Dodson was dishonest. The Northern Territory News Report, without a link, Territory Aboriginal leader Mick Dodson should not have been made Australian of the Year because he was once branded dishonest by a Supreme Court judge, a retired lawyer said yesterday. Jeff James said a simple Google search on the internet would have returned details of the court case. The Supreme Court judgment is linked here. You'll find Dodson was, among other things, berated by the judge for in effect shielding influential Labour MP Warren Snowden. Help is needed. Reader, for me, no, for Andrew Bolt. Mike Rogers says a charity fund has been set up to help Hannah, Lucas, and Amber Nilsson, who lost their parents in the fire at Marysville. It's being run by the museum director, Morty Palmer. A bank account has been set up at the National Australia Bank in the name of Hannah, Lucas, and Amber Nilsson. I've got the account number there and details for anyone who is interested.